Before diving deep into the episode, I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys. So, we're all about building a space about wellness and personal growth. So we really want to bring the best conversation on WellSome podcast. And in order to do that, I really ask you to support our journey, hit the thumbs up, just share the episode if you really think that it can resonate with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with us. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WellSome, a podcast where wellness meets self development. I am Viky, and in each episode, I'm gonna dive deep into real conversations about health and personal growth. So, I have a disclaimer for today. I really want this podcast to happen for two reasons. The first reason is because I truly believe that we're gonna touch such a contemporary topic. I am sure that all of you would have experienced something similar or they're curious to know more about what we're going to talk about. And second, because I really want Roza to be on a podcast with me and just try to absorb as much knowledge from her as she's the best coach actually for this topic. Roza, welcome to WellSome.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this very amazing introduction.
Of course, I haven't finished, by the way, because I normally just ask the guests to introduce themselves or I make a little bit of small introduction. But today I just want to be specific so everyone knows exactly Rosa's missions. So Rosa is a certified love, intimacy, and relationship coach and educator, which is amazing. Rosa Impact has reached over 23 million people across MENA. She brings tantric wisdom, feminine embodiment, and trauma-informed intimacy work to Arab women in a way that honors both sensuality and cultural values, which I find is so inspiring.
It is indeed. It's a passion of mine. And actually, if you go back to the story and how I end up that way, you'll be even more surprised.
Tell me more about how you started.
Well, I haven't told the story before, so you get this,
I'm curious.
So basically, it's almost 4 years ago, exactly December 2021. I was at the airport on my way to Tulum, Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Specific. It is. It was a long flight. And as I was waiting in line to board my airplane, I was just having this very angry slash anxious feeling about myself. I was saying to myself, why this keeps happening to me? You see, I was married for about 10 years at that time.
Yeah.
And my marriage was going through a very rough patch. The thing is, it was my second marriage.
Yeah.
So it was the second time I faced myself going through this difficult emotions of what I have done wrong. What is wrong with me? What would my family say again about my own decisions? Both marriages were love-based. Wasn't arranged. And it was that personal kind of responsibility that asked me to do this step and travel that far in the search of answers.
Oh, nice. Wow. And after this aha moment, I would say, I guess you reached Tulum, and Tulum is very magical.
You've been
somehow. Not yet, but I'm sure, like everyone tells me that there's this very specific energy there.
Tulum is definitely one of the most magical places, and I
Yeah.
would definitely recommend you to go
Yeah.
there. It was actually the point where my life changed forever.
Yeah.
I went there based on a friend's recommendation. They told me about how the community, how the spirituality, and even how the understanding of relationships can be absolutely changed just being in the energy of that place.
Wow.
In that time, I was still exploring yoga, I was exploring tantra, and as well as exploring myself.
Of course.
So you know what they say about having a midlife crisis, and I
Yeah.
would call it just a midlife awakening. That
Yeah.
time, mid 30s, sorry,
Yeah.
where you're just like asking yourself and reflecting back on your life.
Yeah.
Being there put me in touch with so many amazing people, lots of mentors, lots of healers, and also opened my eyes up for different modalities,
Yeah.
different healing modalities.
Yeah.
I've always been into self-development. I've always had all sort of therapies, whether it's like holistic, psychological. I've always embraced
Yeah.
everything that there was to improve myself. But being there opened up another layer of my healing journey. That means more of somatic experiences, more of tantric experiences, as well as more Taoist experiences.
Love
And that
that.
what made the difference for me.
So after that, you started to be very, very involved and interested in study, I guess, and you became a coach later.
Exactly. So after spending about a month there, I came back and I tried to implement the lessons, the realizations, and I integrated all the things I've accumulated there. And by applying that into first my day to day practices, my own personal rituals, but also in my relationship, in my marriage, I saw a massive, massive transformation.
Wow.
When I connected like 6 months later with one of my mentors, I told her, she asked me, "How was your marriage, Rose?" I was like, "I'm having the best intimacy of my life, and we've
Yeah.
been married for 10 years."
Amazing.
So when she heard that, she was so happy. And she's like, "Why don't you bring that wisdom to the region?"
Yeah.
And actually, that was the moment when I decided, like, yes, I've been through a lot. I've learned a lot. I've been married myself, not once, but twice. And I've had a lot to share about what really works and
Yeah.
what does not. And in a
Amazing.
region where actually lacks the foundation of healthy and informed information sources
Yeah.
for balanced love, relationship, and intimacy, that was a must.
Oh, amazing. And that's the reason also I wanted Rosa to be on the podcast because, as I said at the beginning in the intro, relationship and marriages nowadays, it seems like it's so complicated to maintain them. And I think the dynamics, because of social media, because of technology, because of the evolution, they started to they take a different path and different dynamics. The reason why I really want her to come here is to bring some education and clarity around this very, very interesting topic. Rosa, what is the most silent problem in relationship, in marriages, that we don't normally see, but it's, let's say, you will realize it slowly, that this is the silent, issue.
Okay. Well, this is a very important question, and what comes to my mind right now is that the fact that 95% of our emotions, behaviors, how we perceive the world is coming from our unconscious slash subconscious network in our brain. That means 95% of the relationships happening out there, going through drama, going through pain, going through misery, are actually based on unconscious blueprint.
Yeah.
And knowing that by itself can change the whole dynamic of a relationship. Meaning, if you know that your brain looks for a surrogate, a caregiver in your parent, it looks for a dad or a mom just to meet old childhood needs that were not met back then. This fact only just, explains, I'm sure you've heard about daddy's issues, mommy's issues.
Yeah, a lot, actually. A
So,
lot.
so this is like this common joke running out there. But if you know the actually scientific background for it, it stops being funny because it's really,
Yes.
it's a serious thing. So part of this unconscious search is that search for wholeness.
Yeah.
You remember, I always say to my clients, like being in the womb as a baby, as an infant, is your very first experience of unity, of connection, of absolute pleasure, peace, and tranquility.
Safety, yeah.
Safety, there you go, safety, which is again very foundational. That moment where all your needs are met, whether it's emotional, physiological, where there's always someone there for you. We're always loved. You get all that attention, not
Yeah.
only from the organs and the body, but also from the people around you.
Yeah.
That is sense of being so important, so precious, is actually what we're trying to recreate later on as adults.
True.
If you notice, like when you fall in love first, like the first few months or first few years, depending on how lucky you are, the way that lovers talk to each other is like
Yeah.
almost like a baby language, like
Yes.
honey, darling, baby.
Yeah.
This is really that subconscious part trying to baby each other and kind of give each other what we lack.
Interesting. So I would say that if we have to spot what is the silent maybe issue, actually instead of pointing out something outside, we should point inside and see our lacks maybe.
100%. So what I always say is, whatever need you are expecting your partner to fulfill for you, try first to fulfill it yourself. But that requires lots of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Lots of people are not aware of how what they need in life.
Yeah.
Not sure, not clear about their desire, what they want in life in general, but
Yeah.
also in a relationship.
Yeah.
Lots of people just walk into a relationship just because they feel like they have to. They have to fulfill certain expectations, or they have to tick a line in a box. I'm certain age, so I have to have this and this by then. But the thing is, you have to sit with yourself, be very, very honest. Honesty, especially with oneself, is very, very pivotal.
Yeah.
Knowing what you want, knowing what desires you need to have met. This is what later on forms your North Star.
Yeah.
So that is what you should be focusing on more, about what do I need to have in a partner? What do I need to have in a relationship? And second is, what values that I hold very dear to my heart that are not compromisable,
Non-negotiable.
non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You don't have to be very harsh on yourself or others. Just like have your own, and just make sure which top 3, 4, 5 that are a hard no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then have other ones that you can compromise with.
Yeah.
So which, tying it back to your question, the silent problems is the lack of knowledge of what I do really need. So if you don't really know what you need in a relationship, what do you want your partner to do for you?
Yeah.
How would you expect them to know?
Yeah.
First. Second, if you don't communicate that to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do have this clarity about what we need, but because of shame, guilt, fear of rejection, we suppress
Yeah.
that desire. We don't share it with our partner, so we go into that resentment
Yeah.
kind of emotion, which is the silent.
Yeah.
I would say the silent cancer in a relationship
Yeah.
that really slowly eats out the passion.
So I would say that the silent issue is actually silence. I would say it's lack of communication, and also, as you said, just not being maybe totally clear and honest with yourself
Yeah.
about what you need and the things that you should work on before getting in a relationship. And this leads me to another question for you, which is I know that a lot of people right now are suggesting, especially online, before getting into a relationship, it would be best to just grab pen and paper and just write down everything that you need and everything that you don't want. Do you agree on this? Or do you think it's more fluid and intuitive? Or what do you think about it? Is it that specific? Does it help our mind to be aligned, or you think it's more intuitive?
Well, this is a question that can be answered all sort of ways, but my way would be this. As I mentioned, I incorporate not only psychological and neuroscience in my work, but I also embrace the somatic part, which comes from the word soma. Soma means body, heart, and mind.
Yeah.
So we integrate all those 3 parts. We're not talking to the mind as the brain only, or the body pure lust and desire and instinct, but we also involve the soul in the mix. This is how we make a holistic, well-informed decision.
Yeah.
And my way, and how I guide others to do, is journaling and writing down is very beautiful. However, it shouldn't be your first step.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be your first step. Why? Because it makes you fall into this trap of having things your way or the highway. Meaning,
I love that.
this is the thing. I think this is why you see lots of single people out there who really know what they want, but then once you establish that, you just eliminate the magic factor. The magic factor is like...
Here we go. That's why I really wanted to ask you this question, because I had the feeling that there was more than just writing down and just follow the route.
I mean, if it was that easy and very analytic, I mean, all those dating apps where you should put
Yeah.
your age, your color, your preference, your hobbies, whatever, should be perfectly 100%
True.
able to give you your dream match, right?
True.
So the way also to make it simplified for the people at home is that try to tap into that sensation. I always like to call people to go back into their bodies, to close your eyes, soften your gaze, just tap into your body. Try to kind of get into a very relaxed state and kind of visualize the kind of relationship you want to be in without having a person in mind.
Yeah.
Like, what would it mean for me to be ultimately fully in love?
Yeah.
What would be
A
ultimately
feeling more than a
the
person, a look, or yeah.
exactly emotion? Because we all probably heard about The Secret and all this
Yeah.
manifestation, and it all starts with a physical sensation in your body, like
Yeah.
living the moment before it happens, because that not only give you clarity but also signals to your body that this experience is actually safe.
Yeah.
If you see most of the people failing in relationships or not being able to hold long-term relationships, they fail because their nervous system is not able to hold that experience.
Yeah.
They've been either traumatized or they have been deprived from love, from connection, that whenever they have that person in front of them, giving them all this honey and all this good
Yeah.
stuff, they freak out.
Yeah.
Probably you're familiar with the attachment styles and how those play out in a relationship. And this is exactly why we always say, know what you want. Don't be so rigid with it. Tap into the sensation, the physical sensation of that emotion you want to bring into your life.
Yeah.
And also just let magic happen. Let it unfold.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. And guys, if you follow us for a long time, which I'm sure you will or you are, you know that there's a specific topic that doesn't matter what we're talking about, it always comes up. Nervous system regulation. And now Rosa said that it really impact also the way you interact with people and the way you set your relationship in a way that, correct me if I'm wrong, but if your nervous system is dysregulated or you just feel very unsafe in a relationship, it's probably like a red flag.
Definitely, definitely. And you can see that right away if you are well trained, if you've done the work, you've been tapped into your own history and your childhood
Yeah.
and worked with some issues that, been facing in the past. You will realize that once you meet somebody. Actually, it's so simple that some people don't even realize it exists, which is the part that how your sensations, how your body part interact with one another in person.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been into a place or you've been with people where once you are with them, you feel at ease. Your body
Yeah.
relaxes, your jaw, soften, your
Yeah.
shoulders drop. This is what we do. This is how our body reacts when we are in the presence of somebody who is regulated, whose
Yeah.
nervous system is regulated. We kind of copy or mirror, part of our evolutionary track
Yeah.
as humans is we mirror each other's nervous system, we mirror each other's behavior. This is how language exists, this is how the pop culture exists, because this was the safest way for us to belong.
Yeah.
So if my tribe is behaving in a certain way, I have to copy it. And that was a survival
Interesting.
mechanism that happens in the background without us realizing.
Yeah.
So if being with somebody, I know love and excitement and passion, thanks to Hollywood and Netflix, have been always linked to excitement and breaking
Butterflies.
things,
Yeah.
butterflies, all that hot and cold, all that drama. But actually, true, deep, authentic love is very slow, it's very grounding, and it's very delicious.
Yeah.
So
I love the word delicious. I love
yeah, it's
that.
one of my favorite. Delicious
I love
and
that.
juicy.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I would also love for you, Rosa, to just underline, because I for sure you agree with me, because I can see from your mission and your journey. I really want to also invite women to trust a little bit more their gut, because I do believe that, for example, it happened to me many times that when I first met someone, I already felt that something was off and I felt already unsafe, or I felt I cannot trust this person. So I felt it immediately in the first moment. But then somehow you always want to give the benefit of the doubt. And I would love you to express how important it is, especially for a woman who is very intuitive. I mean, of course, for guys as well, but just let's say that maybe women have this intuition that sometimes it leads, from another direction because we just want, again, to give the benefit of the doubt. But
This
it is
is
important.
this is actually very you just nailed it, because gut feeling. This is something we always thought it was this woo-woo thing. This is like a kind of a story, bedtime story, but gut feeling and your intuition this is the most correct directional compass a woman has. This is not only based on, many stories that have been proven to be correct, but also scientifically proven, and I'm sure you can elaborate more on that, that your stomach has lots of nerves connections to it, probably more than the brain.
Yeah.
So this is something that also kind of changes the whole balance of understanding brain and giving the brain and the mind this
Yeah.
ultimate overly ruling powers. No, gut feeling is a thing, and actually for women is a superpower. And on top of that, as you mentioned, it's not that men don't have it.
Yeah.
It's just women, because in nature the stakes of being a woman is higher. You know, we are the womb carriers, we are the
Yeah.
creators on this plane. So our survival wasn't waiting there for data and to the analysis like men would do. It's just a nanoseconds kind of decision that, you know, should I stay, should I fight, or should I flee
Yeah.
the situation. And gut feeling is, I like to say gut feeling, but also the womb feeling. I think every woman deep down in her womb would definitely know which situation, which partner, which even place, environment is the right one for her.
Yeah, amazing. So we tap into maybe the first signals that a person should look at: silent issues, gut feelings, traumas, and everything that you have to do before maybe getting into a relationship. But let's say, as you're very specialized in couples and marriage, a couple has been together for maybe few years or just few months, because it happens also, and you see that they have a moment where they're not maybe aligned or they have issues. What's the difference between a couple who maybe is just going through a rough season or a couple that is just stuck and it's just not meant, they're not meant to be together?
Well, I love your choice of words, using the word season, because there is actually
There
what
are
the
seasons.
seasons. I mean, we are cyclical beings, especially as women, but also in nature
Yeah.
and the weather and all of that. But relationships go through seasons. You know, we're all familiar with the spring of the love, when things blossom,
Yeah.
open up, go slowly, and then goes into the summer where the fun,
Yeah.
the excitement, the sweat. And then it cools down, going to the autumn phase, and then ultimately to the winter, which is, opposed to unpopular belief, it's not the death. It just literally is the retraction of the energy and the reflection of that phase. For me personally, knowing that, this is something I always give couples in my coaching sessions, is that knowing that fact takes off the pressure, because what we see around us on social media, on, Netflix, thank you, Netflix, is ruining actually not only the expectations, but also the confidence of young couple trying to maintain a healthy relationship. People think once that, hot and flashing phase of their intimate life is over, that love is gone. So love equal, hot sex or passion or wild things and, butterflies. While actually this is only the first phase of the three phases of love.
Yeah. Oh, there are three
There-
phases of love.
Well, let's go down the rabbit
Please.
hole.
Please.
So, well, the research showed that every relationship, especially intimate love relationships, go through three phases. The first one is the infatuation phase, which is, the butterflies or dopamine rush, that I can live without you,
Yeah.
that you can do nothing wrong. And this phase actually normally is based on, again, subconscious choice, is based on hormonal or chemical reactions in the brain, lust, I would say, even more. And that one doesn't last beyond 2-3 years. So, and if you notice, most of the divorces that happen nowadays, even before, would be within those two, they call it 3 years each, 7 years each, 10 years each.
Yeah.
So this is the 3 years, well, quote unquote, each.
Yeah.
So this is the first phase, and normally it's based on unconscious and normally not healthy dynamics. After that comes the second phase, which is the relational love, meaning you've been through the hot, the honey, the summer, the spring, and then you start seeing your partner for who they are, not the projected
True
image.
colors.
The true colors. Also, at the beginning, at the first phase, we see our partners the way we want to see them. Remember, I'm looking for a perfect dad to acknowledge me, to confirm me, or you're looking for, as a guy, you're looking for a mother that nurture you, gives you her attention and
Yeah.
love. So this is the kind of the unconscious thing that we carry, and this is what we look for. You know, you see couples and you say like, "Oh God, he married his mom," or
Yeah.
she married her dad. Like,
Yeah.
you see now, baby, nobody wants to marry their dad, obviously,
Of
but it's
course.
like we are attracted to traits that
That
they
reminds us.
carry. Yeah, and that's our subconscious, of the mind of a baby or like a toddler,
Yeah.
carried on. So once that is off, once that mask is off, we start seeing them for the person they are. This is when the chemical reaction, the oxytocin and all the good, high stuff going
Yeah.
on in our brain goes down. And this is the second season of your, the phase basically of your relationship. And this is when you've been through situations, you've been through maybe loss, not only just fun, happy stuff. And this is when you can see the true cause of your partner. You can see their grit, their how persistent they are in this relationship.
Yeah.
Many, obviously, unfortunately, many couples don't survive that phase. And then the third phase, which is actually the most unknown, but the most, again, delicious phase, which is the true love phase. So the second phase lasts between, let's say the first one is 2 to 3, the next one is from 3 to 5 years. The third one starts after that. Of course, those are not very rigid timelines. It depends on just the challenges you're going through, but this is just an estimation.
Yeah.
And true love is actually when you fall in love again, truly for the person you are with. No masks, no attachments, no expectations, no projection. You are just with that person and you just choose to be with them.
Yeah.
And this is the true, real love phase.
Amazing. I was not familiar with this, so thanks for sharing. And I'm sure that everyone would appreciate these three phases, and it's very nice to know. So, coming back to the question, maybe I would say that there's no really like sometimes like what we consider maybe like a tough season. It's just like as an assessment, probably.
So, a tough season, I would put it into 3 stages. One is non-negotiable. Tough season if your partner is abusive, verbally or physically, this is non-negotiable. This is a massive, not only red flag, I don't know, it's like a neon flag.
Yeah.
You just get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
This is one. 2 is, do we have the same values? I will put this even before. And then, do we have the same desires? Are our desires from this relationship are matching? Because let's face it. I mean, I've been married twice. I can speak more about that.
Yeah.
My first marriage, for example, I was very young. I got married 21.
Yeah.
And at that time, at that age, I had very different desires for my life. I had different expectations of my
Yeah.
relationship. So after being in my first marriage, and I've being there for a few years, I realized those are not matching.
Yeah.
And I changed, and people normally tend to change. And the thing is, when we fail to reconcile those two changes, my values, my desires in a relationship, and his desires and values, this is when this is the season where you get to either make drastic changes,
Yeah.
compromise, and talk about that, or this is the season when maybe
You
you
split
choose
up,
to grow,
yeah.
in different directions.
Yeah. And what are the few points that predicts if a marriage is going to be like a long lasting one, or things that predict that it's going to be a disaster?
Well, let me take the disaster way for
Please.
once. Actually, this is
We
one
love
of
to
the
be dramatic.
Well, I mean, it's easier to say the things that can
Absolutely. I agree.
awfully ruin your marriage
Yeah.
than going through the 1,001 things that can make your marriage
Go ahead.
delicious. So this is a very interesting research of this Dr. John Gottman. I think he has a whole test out there where you can do as a couple to predict the probabilities of your marriage or relationship ending in a divorce. And actually has this very interesting theory that he calls it the 4 horses of the apocalypse, meaning there are 4 traits or characteristics that can predict the divorce of a couple within 5 to 6.5 years. This is how sure he was.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a whole list of them, but those 4 are like the most dangerous, I would say, red flag that
Yeah.
can absolutely tell you that this is going nowhere. Maybe you need to do a massive detour or, call it off. Number one was contempt. Contempt is when you talk to your partner, but from a place of superiority.
Yeah.
For example, like, you're an idiot, you never understand. This is the thing. So this is, you are looking at your partner in a way that is not only disrespectful, but in a way that it makes you feel, you make them feel they are lower than you or below you.
Or stupid or ignorant, yeah.
Exactly. So this is like very direct, characteristic assault that really, really, unforgivable.
Absolutely, yeah.
Second is the defensiveness. Defensiveness meaning if you feel the need to justify why you do things or not do things in order to avoid conflict or to avoid your partner lashing out at you, this is another kind of another red flag.
It is a very big red flag now that I think about it, yeah.
Things
sure.
like, like if you're late, like, I'm late because you made me this. I'm late because you did that.
Yeah.
I am, I'm fat because you make me eat a lot of, like all
Which
these
is
things.
very connected to guilt.
It is. Shame and guilt, again, are also kind of the
Yeah.
silent kind of disease as well. Another one is that criticism. Criticism, it's the way when you say, like, especially in public, when you talk to your partner in public and you tell them things like,
Oh, for me, this is super disrespectful.
yeah, like,
super.
She's always late. Yeah, she's always like that. It's
Yeah.
it's not like, there's a slight difference between contempt and criticism.
Yeah.
Contempt
Sarcasm and criticism, I would say also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So criticism is more about what you do, while contempt is about who you are. So, and this is what it's like, literally an attack from all different levels. So we covered those two. We covered defensiveness.
And that's interesting. So, and what is the last one?
Well, the last one is actually something you see a lot around us, and we don't actually pay attention well enough, which is stonewalling somebody.
Oh.
We call it the silence treatment as a way of, coping with it.
It's so painful when it happens. So yeah.
It is. And to make it more specific, stonewalling is when you have a conversation with somebody, but they're not giving you the cues that they are tracking, they're having, they're listening to you, their attention is with you, which is something you see a lot in lots of couples, and it's probably one of the worst, if you ask me, because it's not only disrespectful again, but also it kind of the very definition of unseeing somebody. We all have that deep desire from, being child until, I think till our last day, to be seen.
Yeah.
And we cannot be loved if we're not seen. So when you stonewall your partner, you completely obliterate them from existence in their own emotional world.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. And that's so true, because, it happens to me one time with a specific person. And it puts you in a way that you're looping so much that you start questioning yourself as well. When you start questioning yourself, I would say that this is another red flag, because why would you put me in a position to just question myself and feel guilty all the time? I think this is more like a resume of everything that you said, which I found it extremely interesting. But yeah. Just watch out, because definitely there's something wrong.
And if you look back at what we hear nowadays, okay, this is what summarizes also a narcissist, how they choose their prey, how they manipulate them, how they control them, and actually, ultimately, if you don't run away on time, how they destroy their partner.
True. So every podcast I actually listen to when it comes to relationship and marriages, everyone is mentioning communication is the key. What does healthy communication looks like in a couple?
This is really, like, in my couple work, we focus on two things, again, as we mentioned first, which is, you cannot ignore it. It's nervous system regulation, meaning dealing with, unresolved trauma and pains, and also communicating. Every healthy and satisfying relationship has both desires and needs being met, and having the safety and the openness to communicate and share. Yeah. So something very important I would like to highlight at the beginning, and this is something that lots of women don't realize, like, your pleasure is your responsibility. Meaning, whether it's your pleasure in intimacy, in life, in your day-to-day situation, even with your day-to-day relationships with friends, with family, it's your own responsibility. And how you make sure you do not abandon yourself, how you meet yourself, and that is by communicating them.
Yeah.
Of course, communication has different layers, and there is this very, very crucial book that I almost recommend everyone to read it. I'm sure you probably stumble upon it. It's Nonviolent Communication
I've never heard
by
of it.
Marshall Rosenberg. Oh dear.
Oh, I added it on
Oh
my
dear.
Christmas wish list now. I love it.
It's beautiful. It just shows you how to use communication, how to communicate at all levels, but also it breaks down the levels of communication.
Okay.
Because what we think sometimes that we're doing in a relationship or any other setup, when we think we are communicating, we are basically doing one of those three things. We're either projecting, we're projecting our fears, our biases, our own, understanding, perception of life that may or may not be true all the time. We project our anger, our unmet needs, our resentment towards this partner, and ultimately we project our, I would say, not being able to meet them ourselves, and we kind of give up our power.
Yeah.
This is what I call like feeling empowered is
I can see it. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
And the time that you want it in a way that you want it.
Yeah.
And obviously having these tools like the nonviolent communication tools makes you break through all those superficial layers and deliver your needs, desires, whether they are superficial, because in intimacy especially, we distinguish between superficial needs and deep needs.
Yeah.
Again, to go back to what dictates a healthy communication or an effective communication, let's say, is just the 4 steps. First of all, is like having the right context. You're not, starting a conversation, before 10 or after 10. You never start a conversation, an important conversation, before 10 a.m. And you never start a very serious conversation after 10 p.m. Nothing good happens beyond those times.
Take notes.
Second is give context of why you're coming up with this, especially when we're talking about intimacy. Lots of women who are not able to achieve certain level of pleasure in their relationship, or they're not having their boundaries respected, they struggle with that.
Yeah.
So for the partner to, especially if you have a partner who is not really matching your level of awareness, which happens a lot. Women tend to be, and I'm sure you can confirm that, women tend to be more ahead in that quest of self-discovery, of because we tend to always look for the answers, like what we're doing wrong.
True.
While probably are...
Yeah, we're very, I would say, very reflective naturally.
Yeah.
While maybe men, especially if they grew up in a cultural environment where the men never,
can never do anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
it's always her fault.
Yeah, they feel that they cannot even they cannot even have the freedom to just question themselves because they don't know exactly how to handle the reflection. You know.
Correct.
And talking about that, now I have another question, because we said communication is key. We talk about, the red flags that you can spot if your marriage is going to a very dangerous direction, I would say. But there's also another factor that a lot of time plays a big role in marriages and in couples in general, which is cultural differences and cultures in general. I'm sure that you've seen a lot of I would say situations during your work. How does sometimes culture plays a role in the marriages, and how we can actually handle it in the most graceful way, if there is a way?
Well, I get it. I'm Middle Eastern. You're Italian. We know how family likes to get involved in every single thing in our life.
Yeah.
And we all know they mean it very well.
Yeah.
However, sometimes these interventions are not welcome and even dangerous. I always say 100 Michelin star chef in a kitchen can ruin a good recipe, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to have your mother, your mother-in-law, your grandmother, all your aunts and their cousins coming intervening about your relationship with your husband and the other way around.
I'm so lucky that I'm the only child with one mom. I'm so lucky. No interactions. No.
Well, let's see, your partner maybe.
Let's see in the future.
So we acknowledge, I think part of it is like acknowledging that they want the best for us. They want, not, they want us not to repeat their mistakes. However, we need to know that once we enter the sacred union with a partner,
Yeah.
that this is our own universe that we're co-creating here.
Yeah.
There is only room for the two of us when it comes to our own conflicts, our own challenges, and those other external interventions are only welcome on demand. So I think this is very important to make that clear at the very beginning. What I also explain to couples is that when you enter a relationship, it's very important to look at it as it's you, it's me, and this is the marriage or the relationship. So there's actually three living entities
Yeah.
in this equation. It's not me and you, no, it's me, you, and the relationship.
Yeah.
And the way to honor that and not to allow external people to go into that space is to have what I call it the couple bubble, which is this kind of, I like to use metaphor a lot because this is how the subconscious actually communicates. That's why we love story a lot. That's why people learn a lot more through storytelling. So this is like this golden bubble of light. This is the safe space that encompasses you and your partner, where no one is invited into it. Nobody else. Not your mom, not my mom, nobody else, no matter how much we love them. It's not because we are rude or selfish, because this is what we agreed on.
Yeah.
And what keeps this safe is my input and yours. And this, looking at this living, breathing entity as separate from us. So we can disagree, we can have our own challenges, but we always sit down and do what's the best for the relationship, which is actually, you can visualize it as a pyramid, and the relationship is the top of that pyramid, while me and you or the partners are the base on that.
Yeah.
So if you can tell your partner that or agree on that and kind of convey the message to your partner's parents, whoever intervention force you're having, I think it kind of put everyone at peace that you are, you know what you're doing. You're old enough now.
I think it's a very valuable advice. That actually plays a big role, even though maybe at the beginning we don't really spot it, but then in the long term can really spoil the relationship or just make feel insecure or have double thoughts. So I'm grateful that you said that. So I have a last question for you. Actually, there are two questions in one.
Okay, shoot.
So we live in general in a world where it seems like maintaining a relationship or just getting into a relationship seems very hard. And I'm sure you agree with me that Dubai in specific is a very fast city with a lot of inputs, with a lot of people, with a lot of distractions. So as a coach, what is one advice that you would give to married couple to just maintain their relationships as long as possible, and one advice that you would give a single girl or a single guy, why not, to just find the right person and not very driven to old wounds, like a good partner?
Well, let's start with the singles because we want to avoid as much pain and trauma as possible.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, so for single, so Dubai is a beautiful city, and as you said, you have like billions and billions of options and choice, and we all know the analysis paralysis. But what I call Dubai is like abundance of choice paralysis.
Yeah,
when you have so much choice that you cannot make up your mind.
Yeah.
And again, social media and all this dating site. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of dating sites. My reason for that is, and probably this is the advice for the single people, take the time first to explore and know yourself first. Go through the exercise, the tools we've already shared in this conversation, and then also spend quality, real, in-person time.
With yourself or with the other?
Obviously, with yourself, this is non-negotiable, but also with the person you're planning to date. Spending hours, ghosting someone on social media or trying to have WhatsApp and chats, virtually, is not helping you establish a real connection, because real connection again goes back to nervous system regulation, and calibrating our bodies, minds, and soul with each other needs more of an in-person time.
Yeah.
because we can see all kind of, not even going through filters and all the fake stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's just literally, you can only know if this partner is right for you if you spend enough time with them in person. And second, delay the intimacy part as much as possible. Again, I know this is not being morally superior or anything. It's just based on brain science and how women attach themselves to partners, especially for women, single ladies. Hold the intimacy card as long as you can, because that is not only, it's not about, we're not here to play games, right? If playing
Absolutely.
games would have helped, many women will be married by now.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Oh, please. Please, thank you for that. Because I've seen so many BS on social media of coaches who gives advices to girl on how to play the most stupid games on the planet. And I don't know you guys, but I haven't seen results so far.
well, thank you for your honesty. It's very refreshing.
I am, because I don't think this is healthy. Because if I'm playing, I put you in a position as well to play games.
Exactly.
Because it's a reflection of my behavior.
100%.
And it's a loop. Then I'm playing games. Then I put you in a condition to play games. We're all playing games. We are disconnected because we are in our mind playing games and not in our heart. And then we complain, there's no one nice in the world. No, it's because it starts from you.
100%. I mean, you just nailed it there. And coming from you, it just feels even more embodied.
So
because
I'm happy that you said that.
100%. So playing games and all this dark feminine ways and tricks. I mean, it just depends on what kind. I mean, I'm not in the business of judging others, but if you're really truly looking for that deep connection, soul nourishing, amazing love and intimacy and long-term relationship, do not waste your time and energy, and don't tarnish your karma if you believe in that. Don't tarnish with karma with playing games and all the psychological stuff.
I find this wave of dark femininity and such very based on materialistic things and sexuality. More getting this out of the table more than a real connection and real gracefulness and elegance. And I find this energy a wave that leads to either sexuality or materialistic things.
Well, definitely it doesn't end up well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is the energy you put out in the world, right?
Yeah.
And in my understanding, in my studies, is that coming from woundings.
Yeah.
A woman trying to manipulate a man to fall in love with her, whether using her body, her psychological tricks, all those things, is something that may be her way of dealing with her issues, but she's not aware of that, right? She's not aware I'm manipulating a man because I'm having this revenge towards the man in my life or my dad or all these things. So you are playing that out without knowing why you're playing it out, and then the energy you put out in the world is exactly the one you attract, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, your partner ultimately is a mirror of you. Probably you've heard that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's a mirror of you. So make sure whatever you do there, especially in the dating world, because in the relationship and intimacy, this is really the no BS zone. Because this is really, when we talk about intimacy and sex and marriage, this is when we touch upon the shadow of the self, the shadow of the collective, the shadow of society.
Yeah.
You're tapping into places and waters where nobody ever shed the light in a way that is first compassion, that is information based, and also that is infused with love.
Yeah.
Right? Love, sex have always been used to manipulate masses, to sell products, to spread propagandas and ideas, and it's always been used against us. That's why we end up with, let's say, a city full of gorgeous, young, handsome, fit girls and guys, but that everyone is like suffering from loneliness, from being alone, being rejected, being replaced, being ghosted.
Very true. Very true. And what's the number one advice for young couples to just maintain the relationship in this world?
Yeah, I mean, if you've done the first part as a single person, you probably end up with a pretty amazing partner. So you will have less work to do later on.
That's amazing.
So again, just maintain that compassion, maintain that transparency, and also maintain presence. In every phase, in every season that we covered, in every season, every phase of your relationship, you will have to tap into a different part of yourself. I always tell my friends, you have different parts friends and clients, and ultimately they become my friends. Every part of yourself has different needs and will show up in different degrees
Yeah.
at different stages of your relationship. So, as a young, fresh couples or honeymooners, you will have different parts that will show up. Probably the child that wants to be healed, or the
Yeah.
goddess that needs to be worshipped, or the,
Yeah.
the sexist, sultry woman
Yeah.
in you that needs to be, spoiled and loved. But then later on, as your relationship mature, you're gonna tap more into the mother in you, the caregiver in you. So be very present with those changes, communicate it accordingly, communicate in a way that your partner understands where you're at and how he can support you in that, and make it like another exciting phase that enrich your life instead of it being a break or the dawn of
Yeah.
your love relationship.
That's a perfect ending for our episode. Rosa, thank you so much for this lovely, deep, and very inspiring conversation. And thank you so much for being part of WellSome.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And where people can find you?
Well, I'm quite active on Instagram. You can find me as I am Rosa Gold. Or if you are more fan of YouTube, I'm there under The Holistic Lover.
I love that. Yeah, you have a YouTube channel as well. Please, guys, follow her. Yes, love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And guys, I'll see you on the next episode. And guys, I see you on the next episode. And please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any question for me or for Rosa, please just tap and just comments down below. See you in the next one.